introduction of visiting Rotary. Oh, we have no visitors. All right, well, they're not visitors, but Jeff Bronnenberg is back.
Yay!
And so is Avery Wilfong. And Jerry's with us.
Yay, Wilfong!
Okay, I put that back too soon. Do I have guests in the dining room down this side? I've got Mark here.
Thank you, President John. With me, Tyler Bishop. He is a new employee with the Crawdads. He's a corporate sales executive. Been with us about 6 weeks. About 6 weeks now, so we're happy to have him here. And look forward to having him here. Please say hello to him when you're out at the ballpark this summer.
Welcome. Right here in the center. Yes, in the center. And on the far side, Harry's got a guest.
Thank you, President John. I'd like to introduce our head men's basketball coach at Little Rhine, Coach Everett Sullivan, fresh off his first win this week.
Thank you for having me out. I've been out here before and I really enjoyed myself. Terry decided to bring me today. I jumped on the opportunity. I don't know if I get to count it as my first win. It was an exhibition, but I'm going to count it. So, I left schedules up at the front table. We have a game, a tournament on the 11th and the 12th. Also information about our 6-man club. I know Terry does a great job with PEF. But we have our own booster club called the 6-Man. I'd love for you to take a look at the pamphlets to see if you would like to join us. It's very helpful for our student athletes. Thank you.
And Linda Lutz has some very special guests to introduce to us today. Or someone to introduce our guests.
Right. Ann Williams and I are kind of stand-ins today. Jenny White was not able to be here, but we're welcoming the Hickory High School students of the semester, and they are accompanied by Jean Turner, counselor at Hickory High School. And I'll turn it over to Jean, and then she'll turn it over to the students.
Hi, I'm Jean Turner Sims, and I'm one of the counselors at Hickory High School, and I first want to thank you for having us out here today. We are gracious enough that we're able to bring some students with us each month, and so I was first on deck to come out, and I was very privileged to be able to choose just a few of my awesome students that I get to work with on a regular basis. And so I'm going to kind of introduce them by grade level. We have each grade level represented here. And then I'll just have them come up and just maybe tell you just a little bit about themselves. We won't take out the whole morning. But I do have Mr. Henry Winfield. He is in the 9th grade. If you'll come up here and stay with me. Yes, ma'am. I also have Gabe Smith, who is in the 10th grade. I have Nantita Tao, who is in the 11th grade. And I have Tori Woods, who is a senior and getting ready to graduate and do big things here momentarily. But all of our students were just so, again, we're all so thankful to be here. They're going to be a little nervous because I kind of sprung it on them today. But we're just, again, grateful to be here.
Hello, my name is Henry Winfield. I'm the 9th grade representative for the Hickory High class of 2020. I played Hickory High soccer JV, and I'm currently trying out for the swim team, working on going varsity on that, and keeping good grades.
I am Gabe Smith. I am a 10th grade student at Hickory High School, and I'm also representing the JROTC program at Hickory High. Go Hickory High Tornadoes.
Hi everyone, how is your day? Well, I'm Nantita Tao, and I'm a junior at Hickory High. I'm not in any clubs, but I try to keep my grades up.
She's an honest student. She's being modest.
My name is Tori Woods, and I'm the senior class representative. I will be attending Johnson & Wales University for the fall of 2017, and I'll be going to get my associate's degree and double majoring in baking and pastry arts and business and entrepreneurship.
Welcome all of you. And I have gifts for each of you. It's a Rotary tote bag for you to carry your books or trophies or everything that you have. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's only fitting to segue from introducing our students to giving you a couple of updates on the Interact Club. The Hickory High School Interact Club served dinner to both residents and non-residents of the Salvation Army last Thursday. There were 4 student volunteers. They were accompanied by Linda Lutz. And this meal serving by the Interact Club takes place on the last Thursday of every month from 4:15 to 5:30. The students must be accompanied by an adult. And so if you would like to volunteer to go with them to serve those meals, please see Linda. Is that right?
Thank you.
And as part of the 2017 District Conference, there will be a youth leadership event for all interactors in our district on April 28th at the Hickory YMCA. It's one of Governor Dill's initiatives. Because it's being held in Hickory, our local Interact Club will be heavily involved in this planning. If you would like to be involved with them in the planning, please see Linda Lutz.
If you want to do anything, please see Linda Lutz.
And tomorrow is the first Friday of the month, and what does that mean? It's Eat at Groucho's Day. It's Polio Plus Day at Groucho's. 15%. So come out there for lunch. It's good for the drive-through. Orders on the app. And 11 to 9 all day. And the best time to go is dinner time. Do I have any announcements from the floor out here? All right, good. So we can move right along. So now John Ross has our Rotary Sunshine moment.
We don't want to overdo the applause for it.
That's why they dim the lights in the room, David. I'm in mourning today, but hopefully a little sunshine anyway. Philip Reed has a birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Philip. I'll join the chorus of saints and sinners alike in welcoming our friend Jeff Bronnenberg back. And Coach, welcome back. Now that baseball season's over, I'm yours. Any other members who have had ailments that we need to be informed about? Anybody? Okay, good. That's good news. Well, Bill Miller-Zarell, I just wanted to take a moment to amend today's invocation. Oh Lord, thanks for a great and compelling World Series. It was a much appreciated diversion for what is passing as civic discourse these days, and proof of your great love for us. Next year, we beseech ye that the Cleveland Indians get another shot. Amen. Now, I've already put my buck in there, President John, for announcements, so here's an announcement. I know that there are a lot of parents, grandparents, and even some great-grandparents in this audience. Now, if you're worth a damn in any or all of these roles, then you will want to take your youngster or youngsters this Saturday to a performance of Peter and the Wolf with narrator Hal Rowe and your Western Piedmont Symphony. It will be in the intimate surroundings of Drendel Auditorium this Saturday at 3 p.m., or you can come in the evening at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are cheaper at 3. Spare these children from the horrible ritual of political ads on television. Take them to a live performance. Better yet, make a day of it. Visit the Art Museum, the Catawba Science Center, the Milholland Planetarium. Had a stingray. You feel a lot better. Well, this month is Rotary Foundation Month. So you're probably going to have to endure a weekly spiel from one of us. The name Arch Clump will be invoked in Moses-like fashion. We will sincerely and earnestly urge everyone to consider making a donation, which the club, by the way, will match towards your next Paul Harris Fellow. I kid, but I want you to know that I and many other members of this club I've done more than one of these Paul Harris Fellows in recent years. And I'll tell you personally, it's money well spent and money that gets into the hands of people who desperately, desperately need it. It also offers our club the opportunity to apply for district grants and international project grants. Most of all, we are so close to eradicating polio. The last countries are very tough, and these polio workers in these countries face the wrath of ISIS, the Taliban, Boko Haram. They are so very, very courageous. They are literally risking their lives to save lives. Please, take a few moments to ponder the impact our collective generosity can have towards making all people and giving all people a decent chance to make the world a better place. One of them might be the next Nelson Mandela, or Mahatma Gandhi, or Mother Teresa, thanks to your efforts. Please take this opportunity to have your donation to the Rotary Foundation doubled in value, and you can do that this month. And finally, the obligatory snippets of, well, what we hope will pass for humor. A three-legged dog walks into a saloon in the Old West, slides up to the bar, and announces, "I'm looking for the man who shot my paw." Well, they gotta be clean, doing the best they can. The fellow goes for the doctor. "Doc, I can't stop singing the green, green grass of home." The doc says, "That sounds like Tom Jones syndrome." The fellow asks, "Is it common?" The doctor replies, "It's not unusual." One more, this one may get me in trouble. Well, no, this one's not so bad. A group of chess enthusiasts check into a hotel and were standing in the lobby discussing their recent tournament victories. After about an hour, the manager comes out of her office and asks them to disperse. But why, they asked as they moved off? Because, she said, "I can't stand chestnuts boasting in an open foyer." Yeah, I know, here's the language. I hesitate to tell this one in mixed company and with students, but of course I will.
John!
And no cop jokes today, Chief, but I know policemen never object to fireman jokes. So here, a fireman is at the station house working outside on the fire truck when he notices a little boy next door. The little boy is in a little red wagon with little ladders hung off the side. He's wearing a fireman's hat, and he has the wagon tied to a dog. The fireman says, "Hey, little boy, what are you doing?" The little boy says, "I'm pretending to be a fireman, and this is my fire truck." The fireman walks over to take a closer look. "Little boy, that is sure a nice fire truck." "Thanks, mister," says the little boy. The fireman looks a little closer and notices that the little boy has tied the dog to the wagon by his testicles. "Little boy," says the fireman, "I don't want to tell you how to run your fire truck, but if you were to tie that rope around the dog's neck, I think you could go faster." The little boy says, "You're probably right, mister, but then I wouldn't have a siren."
Sorry for that. I apologize.
Yes.
No counting.
So, on that note, Tom Atkins has our program today.
John, I knew that was a joke when you said the firefighter was working. I had to.
Y'all can turn your
Over 22 years ago, the city of Hickory the Hickory Police Department had the fortunate pleasure to have a young college student do an internship with our department. Then after graduation from Appalachian State University, that young intern decided to go to basic law enforcement training and then became a police officer with the city of Hickory. Over those 22 years, this young officer continued to gain experience, training, and skills over that time, and also accepting more supervisory responsibilities. That officer honed his skills in the Criminal Investigations Division, where he loves to be, and it was no no greater understanding of that skill than Chief Wisnett taking on the responsibility in 2010 as the lead investigator and overseeing the Zara Baker investigation. Since that time, Chief Wisnett has went across the state sharing that experience with different law enforcement professionals, and also has taken it United States wide. It was my pleasure to see him promoted to the Chief of Police on July 1st of this year, and it is my honor today to introduce you to Chief Wisnett, Chief of Police.
That's well, obviously I got a tough act to follow, both the Chief Atkins and the joke I just heard. So anyway, so I've got a few things to cover, so I'm going to talk really fast. And so I thought a good topic, if you've watched the news lately, is the state of policing. I think talking about the last 22 or 23 years, I talk frequently with my command staff and my officers, and I would say that probably the last 2 years we've had more change in our profession than the previous 21 years or so that I've been in business altogether. So today I just want to share a few things we did. I'm calling the state of policing. Now I've got about 20 slides or so on the state of policing, but I only have one slide for the state of firefighting, and it's eat till you're tired, sleep till you're hungry, repeat. And I didn't come here today with, so we'll end on that. That's their presentation. So if they want to, Chief Holland wants to send someone here, that's their presentation. So back to serious though. So last year, May of 2015, in light of everything that you've seen going on with the national climate, there was a presidential task force that was formed called the 21st Century Policing Model, and the President's task force on that. And out of that really came 6 pillars that we talked a lot about, heard a lot about through our training and our association meetings that we've had. And those 6 pillars are up here. Had a lot to do with 1, building trust and legitimacy, 2, policy and oversight, 3, technology and social media, 4, community policing and crime reduction, 5, training and education, and last, officer wellness and safety. So I thought I would take today and just kind of give you a snapshot for your community and our department. Where is Hickory Police Department with regard to what is considered to be the best practice in policing today? So our mission, I won't read it, but our mission primarily is to protect the sanctity of life. And while doing that, to maintain a high degree of efficient and effective public safety while maintaining respect and dignity and giving the due regard to cultural diversity and the individual rights. So, and you've probably seen our cars for years and years. We have an acronym that we use, police and community together. You've probably seen PACT on the back of our cars. So we've been doing that for quite some time. So our community policing philosophy, as you'll see, kind of one of the new things, one of the new buzzwords it seems to be that you're hearing. We've actually been doing that for some time. Started in 1992, took it department-wide in 1994. So something that we ingrained and instill in our officers. Here, several years back, when Chief Atkins was there, we also used PACT to say, well, what does that really mean for us in terms of our mission, in terms of our core values? And so our core values, professionalism, accountability, compassion, and teamwork, and that teamwork being really important. You've heard together everyone achieves more. So PACT is something that every single member of our department, both sworn and civilian, knows all the different meanings of PACT and what that means and their core values. So I'll kind of skim through here in the interest of time, and kind of skip ahead to community-oriented policing. So what is community-oriented policing and what are the goals? Community-oriented policing simply is forming partnerships, building, fostering those partnerships with our community because, in effect, we're small in numbers. And we're smaller in numbers really right now than we should be. In essence, I think partly because of the climate that we have. But when we're fully staffed, our full staff is 152 full-time employees, 116 of those being sworn officers. Currently, we have 10 vacancies for sworn officers. So I will say, if you have any, I always have, everywhere I go, I'm throwing my recruitment plug out there. So if you know someone who has ever considered a career in policing might be interested. It really is a noble profession. I will tell you that what you see on TV, we don't really feel that here. We are blessed because of people like you. I hear now a lot of my officers every day telling me, hey, I went to eat lunch today and I went up to pay and some anonymous person bought my lunch. So we really, truly are blessed to serve in this community. There's nowhere else that I would want to raise my children. There's nowhere else that I would want to do the job, the position that I'm in. So we're blessed here, but unfortunately, the media message that's out there has affected our applicant pool. So if you know someone who might be interested, please tell them to give us a call, give me a call, and we'd be happy to sit down with them and tell them about a career in policing. But community-oriented policing really involves partnerships. So if you do the math, in Hickory in any given day, well, our sleeping population is just over 40,000. During the day, business hours, 80,000 plus people come into the city that we are policing and interacting with. So we're small in numbers, so we can't do it alone, and we recognize that. And we have to do things in a partnership to solve problems. I hate when folks say you're a law enforcement officer. What we really are is problem-solving officers. Law enforcement really is just one piece of what we do. So in the big scheme of things, we're called to do a whole lot of things, and ultimately it's solving problems. Again, 1990 is when we did a pilot project in the Ridgeview community to kind of try out community policing to see how it would work in Hickory, and the results were phenomenal. And in 1994, we took it citywide to all the packs. And it really involves, instead of the old rotating shifts, riding around in a police car and responding, really what it means is getting out of the police car, getting to know folks, getting to know business owners. Officers assigned to a permanent area. You know, not only are they going to get to know who lives there, they're going to know what cars belong in what driveway. They're going to know what things look out of place. That's one side of it. The other side is, hopefully we're building partnerships and we're building trust in that someone's going to tell us what happened. So, you know, we see all these things. We see CSI and we see all these things about technology, which I'll talk about here in just a few minutes. But the reality of it is we're in a human profession, and it's all about communication. And even with all the technology, Chief Atkins talked about my background in investigations. I will tell you that in 20-some years, I've solved one case with fingerprints, but I've solved a whole bunch of cases because somebody was able to tell me something and felt comfortable enough to talk to me or to one of my partners. So very important. Emphasis on customers, and also one of our former deputy chiefs coined the term coactive. You know, not proactive, not reactive, but coactive, doing it in a partnership. So, real quickly, this is our city is divided into 5 patrol zones. We call them packs. Adam, Baker, Charles, David, and Edward. This was formed just prior to 1994, but officers are assigned permanent shifts into a permanent area. They're encouraged, again, to be problem solvers, to think outside the box. You know, an example, rather than just the traditional law enforcement response, you know, if there's a problem, for example, with auto traffic crashes, if they notice that a large number of traffic crashes are occurring at this intersection, you know, the traditional response may be to go write a whole bunch of tickets, but really what problem are you solving? Maybe it has something to do with the delay on the lights or the geographics of the roadways. So working with other community partners or other city partners to solve the problem, because that's ultimately what we want to do. Again, about partnerships and non-traditional approaches, just some of the examples of the programs that we take part in. Catawba County Safe Community Initiatives. How many of you are familiar with that, the call-ins that we do? We're getting ready to do one, I believe, on the 18th. That's where we identify folks in the community who have been a problem, but they are not to the point that they can't be saved if they kind of turn their life around. So we work with probation and parole to identify those folks. We work with our community partners to give them some options to turn their life around, maybe get employment, other things of that nature. We have a shared employee that works out of our department that is, his salary is paid by our other partners, law enforcement partners in the county. And he does a program called Success Essentials to help them gain employment and hopefully get their life turned around. Also code enforcement, 6 years ago, came under the police department. How successful is community policing? Well, 1994, you see at the beginning of the slide here, 1995, and you can see that to 2015, really an overall downward trend. So I think that's proof, and you can see that in other agencies that have used community policing as their philosophy. Other things, when we look to hire folks, we are very selective in our hiring. So, you know, when I say we're 10 officers down now, we need to hire 10 police officers. We could hire 10 police officers, but we're only going to hire the right police officers. We're looking for folks that are leaders, that have the right mindset. And I've often said that it's a calling. You know, your heart calls you. Obviously, you're not going to get rich doing this profession. We don't have a whole lot to offer in that area, but for somebody who has a servant's heart, there's no better profession, there's no more noble profession than this. Our folks, even with their shifts that they work, the long hours they work, we have a number of police officers that still go above and beyond and volunteer their time to do things like lunch buddy programs, mentoring programs, volunteer their time for Cops for Tots, which I think your club has been very supportive of over the years. We also, our school resource officers, you know, the same philosophy in the schools. You know, we want to build those connections, build that trust early, even with our students in the schools. That the students don't see, you know, the officer in the schools just as a police officer, but they know that, you know, hey, you know, we have some of our officers that are involved in coaching and assisting with things like that. So, very important. Legal program. Back the last day before summer vacation ended, we did a program called Legal, Law Enforcement Guiding Adolescent Lives. And what that was, we partnered with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we had the Young People of Integrity and the City of Hickory Youth Council come in, and we gave a class to some adolescents on what their legal rights are. And these are kids who are coming of age to drive. Some of them, the oldest ones, were in college. And we kind of talked to them about what their legal rights were. An attorney did a PowerPoint slide. We had lunch with them. And then we gave them a little bit of police training, and we reversed the role. We did a role reversal. So they got to be the police officers. We had 20 students, and we had 20 police officers, and they got to do a role reversal. We did it out at the Crawdad Stadium, Winkler Park. And very, very good dialogue after that. We had lunch with them. Chick-fil-A sponsored it. And we were able to answer a whole lot of questions, gave us a new perspective, gave them a new perspective. Fast forward to the next week, just to kind of show you the value of things like this, we had a forum at Lenore University where we were talking about current issues in policing and how to respond to the police. We were doing it for, you know, a large part of the audience were some of the athletes and students from out of town at Lenore. And somebody asked me a question from the audience, and it was one of those use of force tough questions that you get about things that you see on the news and why police officers, you know, do this certain tactic or whatever. And before I could answer the question, the young man raised his hand in the back of the audience. He said, "Can I answer that, Chief?" And I said, "Certainly, go ahead." And he said, "Well, I was in this legal program just last week," and he answered the question perfectly. He said, "I saw a whole new perspective." So we're continuing to do things like that. So we offer that program now. If you have church groups, youth groups, anything like that, we'd be more than happy to offer that program up. I believe that the key to changing kind of the culture and the misconception for some that is out there with police it has to start early with our youth. And so we're working very hard on that. We have a youth academy that we partner with the rec department through the summer. It's a 2-week academy. Kind of modeled on, for those of you that are familiar with our Citizens Police Academy, it's kind of a 2-week version of that. But just to give you a rundown, since May 1st, we've done over 100 events, outreach events of different types, just to reach out to the community, really that are all somehow based on, you know, educating the community, getting to know people, educating them about us, what we do, why we do what we do, so that there's not that misunderstanding. The most current thing that we're working on, that hopefully we'll shoot the last shot next week, is a video series, or it's a video called Listen, Explain, Comply, Complain. And we put a pamphlet out that we're giving out on how to respond to the police if stopped by a police officer for everyone's safety. But this video has all of the agency heads for the agencies in Catawba County, and we're working on one last shot, but basically it says no one likes to be stopped by the police. It's important, we're training our officers to listen and explain. If you're stopped by an officer, for everyone's safety, it's important that you comply. But if you have a problem, let us know later on. And we're all in this together. Listen, explain, comply, complain. And so we're doing the we're all in this together. We're hoping that maybe not only can we get that out on social media and regular media, but if we could get maybe Carmike Cinemas to show that, prior to the start of movies, that would be great. And what an audience we would capture there, just as a good message to hopefully prevent some of these instances that you've seen, these tragic events that you see that really just come from misunderstanding. All right. So 2 years ago, body-worn cameras. That was another thing that was a big topic in the 21st century policing model. We actually started testing and had signed the purchase order for body-worn cameras before Ferguson happened. So we've had it for 2 years now. I just came back from San Diego from the International Association of Chiefs of Police Conference. You would not believe how many large agencies do not have body cameras yet. We are blessed here to have the supportive council and the community that we have to do that. We'll say this, it's not always perfect. How many of you watch football on Sunday afternoon? And how many times have we seen, did he have his foot in bounds? Did he not have his foot in bounds? Did he make a catch? So still not perfect, but way better than what we've had. In 2 years, since we've implemented body cameras, our use of force incidents have went down 50%. So we didn't have a whole lot of use of force prior to that, but you can see there, last year, 25 instances of use of force. What that really means is, having to use any amount of force. That's not deadly force. That's just, somebody, if we're having to, if they're resisting, if we have to use pepper spray, a taser, anything of that incident, over and above just someone putting their hands behind their back. So great tool. People ask me, well, is that because, the officers have the camera and they know that it's recorded? Well, I would just say that when people know they're recorded, it changes behavior. When we were testing body cameras, one of the things that sold us was there was a young man, he'd been arrested, he was back in our booking area, and the officer's there, and the officer's just gathering his information. And this young man is cursing and just, not being physically resisted, but just kind of causing a problem. And he notices this strange-looking thing on the officer's collar, and he says, "What's that thing on your collar?" And he said, "Well, that's a camera, and you're being recorded." And he just went. So we knew then that that was going to be worth its weight in gold. Just to give you, I know if you turn the news on, unfortunately, just about every day you can see some instance of a questionable use of force, and it would appear, it makes it appear that there's just some sort of use of force problem throughout our country. And obviously, no two jurisdictions, no two places are the same, but what I can tell you is looking at our statistics, we look at that. Just to give you some perspective, last year we had 102,685 calls for service. That's where folks call us on the telephone and say, we need the police for whatever reason. Out of that, 11,735 of those actually turned into something that we started an investigation on. We're doing a police report to start an investigation. A lot of those other calls, may be things like illegal parking or whatever. That does not include traffic crashes. So out of that 11,735, there was 2,458 arrests, and out of those 2,458 arrests, that's where the 25 use of force incidents came from. So that gives you perspective. So what that means is, when we come into contact with folks, just on the arrest, if you're looking at just the arrest, there's less than a 1% chance we're going to have to use any amount of force. And I would suspect that that's probably, if you look nationally across police departments, the vast majority of contacts that police departments are having with folks don't end in any kind of confrontation or use of force. But that's specifically our numbers there. So we do have a system of, if I had more time, we'd kind of go into kind of how we track that and what our checks and balances are. We do have a pretty formal system for checks and balances on how we're tracking and reviewing our use of force, especially since we had body cameras. Another thing in the 21st century, was training, wellness, and safety. And just to touch on that, POPAT is Police Officer Physical Abilities Test. We're one of 2 departments that I know of in the state that has an in-service requirement that in order to work, you have to be at a certain level of fitness, and we test so often. And there's a wellness piece in there because we want our folks to be healthy. There's also, you know, there is an expectation of you, the public, and there's an expectation from other coworkers that every officer maintain a certain level of physical fitness and ability to safely do their job. I see that as more of a trend that's going to be coming out more and more. There is a requirement. If you take basic law enforcement training, you have to pass a physical test to sit for, to take the state exam. But however, there is not a state requirement for that now for folks that have been in service that actually have a job somewhere. We're one of 2 agencies that I know of that just implemented that. Below 100, unfortunately, a lot of our officers that get hurt in cars, vehicle accidents. And so below 100 is a training program. It's a national program to try to reduce officer fatalities to below 100 for the nation. So we take part in that. Vest and safety, obviously, it's we all wear our vest. I have mine on today. We have a policy that says we will. And I just ordered, we don't have them yet, back in July. One of the first things I did right after some of the things that you saw in Dallas and Baton Rouge is all of our officers, when they come in, will actually have plate carriers that they will have in their trunk if they run into a situation where somebody has a high-powered rifle. That would afford them protection that their under carrier vest would not. So hopefully those will be in soon. CIT is crisis intervention training. We deal with a lot of mental health. I've heard it said before that unfortunately the jail is the largest mental health facility that there is, and unfortunately we are kind of on the front lines of that. It's a broken system, but our officers have to have that training. So we're trying to get all of our officers through the crisis training for communication and how to deal with folks with mental illness, de-escalation, scenario-based training, video training. You hear a lot now about. Several years ago, it was with all these active shooter situations you were hearing, there was a lot of emphasis on, you know, the warrior mindset. And I think now it's kind of shifted to the guardian mindset. We have a very young workforce out there, and they have to make good decisions. And so kind of I would say, well, there's most of the time it's guardian, but you know, a warrior kind of is a guardian. And so we're having a lot of conversations, especially with our young officers, about having that mindset and that good guardian mindset. Future challenges, recruitment and retention, staying ahead of training and best practice, educating the public on misconceptions. We have Citizens Police Academy, and we'd love to see if you haven't taken it, come join us for that. We do a reunion twice a year on current topics. Opioid epidemic and mental health, other things that we'll have to work hard on in the future. And I know that's hard to see, but just yesterday I got this episode of Police Magazine. I thought it was really interesting. It says policing in 2056, and if you do the math, that's 30 years. So our folks that we're hiring right now, 30-year career in policing, what kinds of things? When I think back 30 years, and I had my pen and paper, no computer, no email address, my cell phone, I had like 10 free minutes, and I was carrying a big bag phone around on my shoulder, and I would call Chief Agnes, and I was like, hey, can you hear me? All right, I gotta hang up, I only got 10 minutes on my plan here. So, wow, have we come a long way, and I just thought it was really interesting. In 2056, Police Magazine says that drones will be pretty much deployed from every police vehicle. Self-driving cars, hydrogen fuel will probably be what we'll be dealing with. The car will have computer sensors all the way around that will prevent us from having accidents. Voice command computers. Sensors sewn into the uniform that the telecommunicator will be able to monitor an officer's not only where they're at, but the vitals. Isn't that something? Wow. So, and again, this is, it sounds, you know, crazy, but who knows? Eyeglasses with a heads-up display to receive communications. No more push-to-talk the radio. You just say it, and somebody is monitoring you, and they hear it. High-def cameras pretty much everywhere to capture virtually everything. What will body camera technology be like 30 years from now? Training will be virtual reality, and then our ID, more than likely, will be mobile fingerprint or eye scanners. So just thought that was really interesting. So that was a really, really quick overview of where we're at today, where might we go, And I thought this was interesting here. I saw this quote the other day, and I really like it. Every action we take, every interaction with the citizen, every moment we're visible is a commercial for our profession. So with that, I'll take questions. Lisa.
Can you talk a little bit about what the academic requirement would be of those 10 positions that you have open?
The academic requirement is you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be, for police, you have to be 20 and a half years old. Most everybody we're looking at is 21 or at least 21. The minimum requirement is high school education. I can tell you that the majority of folks that we hire have some college, most of which we're hiring now. A lot of them have 4 degrees. We have folks that work for our department that have master's degrees too. Our department overall is highly educated, but some have military experience. But the most important thing is someone who has people skills, has good judgment, knows how to talk to people, just good analytical skills. Some of the, it was interesting when we had a little bit of an economic downturn a couple of years ago. Our workforce is very young, but we had some folks come into our applicant pool who had maybe been at working somewhere in a completely different career for 10 or 15 years, but they had that life experience, and that life experience turned out to be so valuable because they had that skill to know how to interact and talk to people. We can teach anybody how to be a police officer. This is a human profession. Even with all those technology things that I said, one thing that will never change is this is a human profession. Any other questions? Yeah, Mike.
Chief, what percentage of crimes in our community involve drugs, and what is the latest harming drugs?
I don't have the specific percentage. I will say that a very, very large percentage of what we deal with as far as crime, and I'm talking about, we don't have a whole lot of violent crime. Most of our crime is property crime. A lot of that is related to drugs. Drugs and mental health drive the vast majority of what we do, those two things. Obviously, I think here, everywhere, you've probably seen some articles or read some articles about, the opioid epidemic. It's a national epidemic. So we're looking at some, if we had more time, I could tell you about some things that we're kind of collaborating on to try to come up with some innovative ideas about how to do that. I can tell you, we will not arrest our way out of an opioid epidemic. It's going to take a multi-pronged approach. There's some interesting programs out. Fayetteville's doing one. It's a diversion program, and we're looking hard at that. Probably going to take a trip to learn a little bit more about it. But it's going to take that community collaboration again and teamwork with our community. That's a community problem. So.
Chief?
Yes?
You touched on it briefly, but how do you restore, not just in Hickory, but across North Carolina and across the country, the respect that your badge deserves and should be able to convey to 98% of the population that you really are there to help them, not hurt them?
That's a great question, and there's a couple answers. How do we do that? Well, one, we keep doing the right things, keep doing what we do, don't get discouraged. And I think, again, going back to, I think we're very blessed here. It'd be very easy, we kind of, I try not to watch the news and try to stay positive, but I'm constantly reminded when I'm in this community of the importance of what I do. I'm reminded by the community. It's different in different places, but I think we're kind of fighting a media misconception. I did see an interesting article the other day that was on MSNBC, and it was talking about the number of the percentage of officers that actually throughout their career are involved in misconduct. It's less than 1%. So I think it was 99 point something percent of all officers nationwide are never involved in any kind of misconduct. I think if you look at any profession, I would put that up against any profession there is. Unfortunately, when it does happen, it's headlines. And so that's kind of what we're up against. We're now dealing with social media, and there's just the information is just out there so quick. But I think the answer to that is we just have to keep doing what we're doing. I think community policing, working with our youth, where they're getting to know us and what we do early on, and just keep building that trust and keep reminding our folks. For me, internally, as a chief, that means that I'm constantly reminding my folks about, you know, core values and ethics and the nobility of policing and all the things that remind us, you know, we're most motivated. You know, 21, 23 years ago when I started, you know, that was probably the most motivated time. I was excited about the profession. We just have to constantly remind our folks of, you know, why did you get in this profession? You know, there's going to be tough times, there's going to be adversity and bumps in the road, but we always have to go back to what called me to this profession. And, you know, not everybody's going to tell you thank you, and that's part of it, but we have to keep doing what we do. So. All right.
I have something for you. Your very own Rotary tote bag. Where y'all have your... And congratulations, I think your program is the best attended so far in my term. I could be wrong about that, but... So, John, you want to bring the raffle on down? Or on over? While he's doing that, we'll remind you once again that tomorrow is Groucho's Day for Polio Plus. I want to thank our visiting Rotarians. Well, nobody visited. No. Never mind. But thank our guests of Rotarians and hope that we will see you again. Oh, and November 12th is the foundation banquet. Please get in touch with me if you'd like more information on that, or check the district website. So,
all right, we have 43 cards, 2 jokers. We brought in $63 today, and the total pot, $581.
Great. Chief, would you please come and...
Chief Atkins doesn't have one in here, though. So I don't want to get it.
But I do guarantee you'll make a new friend.
All right. 785039. I think that's right. I don't have my glasses.
Yes. 78505039. Last 4 numbers. Ah, Andy.
Andy.
You're the one. Wait, how many cards have we? 43.
We all were.
Oh, he knew exactly what he wanted to go for. Right suit, wrong number. You get this wonderful laminated card here, which you can turn in for a free lunch at another meeting. Congratulations. All right, please don't forget to drop your spare change and other negotiable items, fine jewelry, in the cart buckets to raise money for Alzheimer's research. Now let us close with the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, and do, is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And if you just close that, that turns it off. Like